really, what is this? It's the evolution of our Crime Stoppers unit. Moving into the 21st century, we're excited about the technology, what it proposes that it can enhance the investigative ability. One thing that remains constant here is the anonymous nature of our Crime Stoppers unit that really serves to build a bridge between the community that we serve and the crimes that we are trying to solve. And when you talk about neighborhood policing, I can't think of any better example than that. So I'll turn it over to Susan now, and then in a moment we'll do a brief demonstration of how this technology is going to function and help to make New Yorkers safe. Susan?
Thank you, Chief. Susan Birnbaum, President of the Police Foundation. The New York City Police Foundation is an independent, nonprofit organization created by business and civic leaders in 1971 to help provide additional critical resources to innovative New York NYPD programs that help make New York City safe. Crime Stoppers is one of these programs. It's been around since 1983 and has one of the best crime-fighting tools around, the community. Crime Stoppers is the definition of shared responsibility, a true public-private partnership. It's the community helping fight crime in their own house, their own block, their own neighborhood by calling in anonymous tips. We don't know who you are, but we're extremely grateful. So far, over $2.5 million in rewards have been approved to the 1-800-577-TIPS callers, and now Crime Stoppers has a new app, another effective way for the public to fight crime using mobile technology. And Crime Stoppers also has a new truck, thanks to our Crime Stoppers chair, Clyde Brownstone, who's here today, and trustee of the foundation. It was unveiled last year, that projects the TIPS hotline, social media, and photos on screens as it drives around New York City. All of these tools help the incredible NYPD detectives and the communities they serve work together to make New York an even safer place to live, visit, and work. Now I'm going to turn it back to you, Chief. Thank you.
So again, when we talk about Crime Stoppers and the team of detectives, roughly 20 individuals that sit upstairs in this building, and every day I get a report and the tips that came in the night before on crimes that run from sexual assaults, rapes, homicides, shootings throughout New York City. And at the forefront of that, the people on my right and left, Lieutenant Phil Roy here and Sergeant Erica Rivera, they really do a phenomenal job with that unit. I'm going to turn it over to Phil now. He can go into a little greater detail of why we're so excited about this app and a little demonstration.
Good morning, Lieutenant Phil Roy, Commanding Officer of the Crime Stoppers Unit. Before we go into a demonstration, I just wanted to show a brief PSA that we're going to be releasing today as well.
New York City has experienced a tremendous drop in crime, but the NYPD's work is never finished, and we can't do it alone. NYPD Crime Stoppers has a new app that lets you report crime anonymously. You may be eligible to receive up to $2,500 for a tip. Up to $2,500. Anonymous. Your city, your call.
Keeping New York City safe just got easy.
Okay, so while we're working on that, I just wanted to give you a brief demonstration with the app. Andy, if you could. Yeah, well, while they're working on that, just a brief description of the app. We were working really hard the last several months on moving to the forefront of technology, and this is one of the aspects of it. With this app now, it's totally anonymous. A tipster has the ability to sign in and out, and I think we're up. Okay, as you can see, this is the public facing screen. Once you download the app and you want to become a tipster, you open up the app. This is the first screen you'll see. As you can see, you could submit a tip, you could call our office direct, you could go to our website, or you could go to any one of our social media pages where we have current videos and images of wanted individuals. So now we're going to be going to submit a tip. So Andy, we're going to submit a tip. So once you press submit a tip, all the counties of New York come up. Please select. Yeah, so right now we're gonna go into say the tipster saw that a dog was being beaten or is injured on the street. We're gonna go into an animal cruelty. Once from the animal cruelty, now it opens up into all these fields where you could fill out a description of what you saw, perpetrator's name, address. Also, with this new system, we're able to attach documents, still images, and videos. So if the tipster was able to take a video of this dog being beaten, we're able to attach it straight to the tip right now. As well as when you scroll down, Andy, all the way to the bottom, you can see that we have the ability to anonymously put these tips in 10 different languages, everywhere ranging from English, Chinese, simplified, all the way down to German. Okay, once we would submit a tip, Andy just submit a tip. The tipster would be issued a code number. This code number is totally anonymous. At no time are any names, IP addresses, or phone numbers recorded. So through this code, we also have the ability to talk two-way with him. We can update him, ask him for more information, vice versa. Now, once this code is given to the tipster, it's incumbent on him or her to call back to see the status of if the perp was arrested or not. Once the perpetrator was arrested and indicted, we give awards up to $2,500. And that's pretty much the app. Thank you.
So you can see a little visual of the app demonstrated here. Again, why are we so excited? It really takes it to the next level and what our Crime Stoppers unit and our detectives can do. Now we can have video, and you know how important obviously video is. Video can be sent directly to the Crime Stoppers unit almost instantaneously, pushed then to the detectives for an incident. Real-time communication between the Crime Stoppers detectives and the people calling in these tips. So it's really a win-win, and as Phil said, 10 different languages. So a lot of thought went into this. I can't thank Susan enough for all the commitment that every day we receive, basically in the Crime Stoppers unit from the Police Foundation. And now we just have one more thing for you to do. Go onto the Google website, go onto the Apple Store, and download the app. 8.5 million New Yorkers we would love to have online by tomorrow. I'll take now questions if you have on topic. So in terms of this is funded by the police department, obviously the Police Foundation overall with paying out on the tips, but this particular program in terms of the software, this is a police department function. We had software, this is the evolution of improving software when we went from one system to another so that now we can receive online communications back and forth, so we can now receive, this is 2019 video, these are things that we do. That gave us the ability to incorporate an addition of an app into the new software. It was a minimal amount, roughly $2,000 to $3,000. Case by case, depending on, but we have the ability to instantly really get to our detectives. And then depending, really, it depends on what the case is and what we already know. Sometimes we're getting information and we may not want that video out for a variety of reasons. But we certainly have the ability, when these detectives get on the phone, they are in constant contact with the field in terms of what's received, working, kind of verifying that information and pushing it out. I'll get to everyone. Yep. I think we're pretty consistent in terms of Crime Stoppers. If you have information, this is just an extension of what we're already doing in neighborhood policing, really. If you think about how we're trying to connect to the public, if you think about the build-a-block meetings that we have. I've been on record for many years now, very proud of the work the men and women of the New York City Police Department do. But we are one piece of this overall crime-fighting team. When we really connect to the public and get more and more people involved, when we get the store owners involved, the parents, the people that live and work in the communities, we are unstoppable. So in terms of what do we want people to get involved, we want people to attend meetings, we want people to obviously continue to support the police, and anyone with any information, and thank you to the media present. I mean, you are a significant part of this in terms of getting the word out. When we get that word out, we want you to call into Crime Stoppers and give our detectives everything that you have. Yeah, so I could tell you that I wake up and I have way too many emails to read, and one of those emails every day is a report that Erica sends me on here's the prior 24 hours Crime Stoppers tips in pretty detail. What crime is it? What does the person know? Where did the person learn about it? Did they see the video from New York 1? Did they see it on 1010 Wins? Did they see it in their local paper? And it's how many? We can follow up, Tony, and give you numbers. I don't want to make up a number standing here, but we get a lot of tips every day. Rocco? I'm sorry? With this app, we now have the ability to receive videos, photos, and then have conversation going back and forth through the app, which we did not have before. I would say all New Yorkers. I'm shooting low. 8.5 million people I want to download this app.
So with polling and tips, I'm guessing more of those tips come in from older New Yorkers, right?
But again, remember the anonymous nature. We do not ask for information about the person calling in tips. If you go online today, and I encourage all New Yorkers to do this, feel free, tourists can download it too. That may help. When you download this app, we will collect no information about you. It is completely anonymous. So to answer that question, I can't because I don't know who they are. Yes, sir.
I think the detective mentioned that you log in. Is there a login process or registration process? And how does that factor in?
I'll turn it to you. Demoted him several ranks, Lieutenant.
No, there's no login process. When you download this app, it just opens up as a general app. There's no phone number asked for. There's no name asked for. You're only known as a code number that gets issued to you after you submit the tip. That's it. It's more phone call.
Dean? Facebook pages, things.
Yes, absolutely. Another example is if you see a crime live, you could actually take the video of it right there and then send it right to our app. So you have the ability for any documents or videos you have saved in your phone or a live video of something happening. Both ways you could send it to us. There were several things that led to it, and that obviously is one of them, to get more technologically advanced and be able to accept more volume of video and tips.
And ease. We want to make it as easy as possible for the public to take part in that shared responsibility. All right, so Les?
On the when you say somebody's witnessing a crime, it's possible that you may need to talk to them
Yes.
outside of the app and find them.
Yes.
How do you go about that?
Well, when somebody submits a tip, they're going to stay anonymous forever. The fact of the matter is, with this new app, we have the ability to reach back out to them via this code number, and they have the ability to actually update it. So if they said John Smith did the robbery down the block, and then later on they get a better picture of John Smith, they could go back into the app and update their tip with images and things like that.
No, the point that the lieutenant is trying to make is we can interact or have a conversation via the app with the tipster, who will always remain anonymous. We do not go out and speak to them. We do not go out and investigate that.
Let me rephrase the question,
Right.
and you jump in. Have we had occurrences where an individual called Crime Stoppers anonymously and then decided that they wanted to leave their name and become an official witness?
If that happens,
That's their choice.
That's their choice. If that happens, they're no longer a tipster. Now they become a witness in the case, and they're dealt with as a witness with the case detective, and we no longer are involved in that aspect
and
of
that's,
it.
I would categorize that as rare.
Very rare.
Yeah.
That's the exception.
I mean,
to the rule.
it's really, when you look at the totality of the role this plays in crime reduction in New York City, it's a tremendous tool. It really is. And when you look at, they could tell story after story, and they've given me this, and I hear it all the time. People that call up, and I've said this before, They call up and say, I don't want money. I just want to make my block better. So they really see and hear. They're on the front lines of, solving these cases, and they do a tremendous job day in and day out. One or two more, Dean, and then I'll come over.
This changes the game for you. If something happens on the train or exploded, is the app one able to handle thousands of videos coming in? Ready to respond. But when you say send video in, no, that could be a number of videos coming in.
Yeah, and we've seen that before. The best example is the junior, where I said we had to upstaff. But somebody asked about demographics. This app lets you communicate in 10 different languages, something else that's an improvement. So I would welcome that problem, Dean. If I have to put more detectives onto the Crime Stoppers desk, that's a good thing because of increased information coming in. I could think of no better problem to have. I'll handle that one. Last? Yeah, that's an interesting. I think in this day and age where I think we're inundated with whether it's social media, whether it's newspapers, whether it's electronic, etc. This is the world we live in. We're going to jump full force into that world. I think if you go onto this app or you go onto the mobile and you go onto the Crime Stoppers website, they have the ability to see certainly wanted individuals, people, surveillance photos, things of that nature. They have the ability to search by borough. We're always looking, how do we sharpen that up and make that the crispest, give people what they want, most relevant to them. How often? Just take an active role in this is our city together. Take an active role and do your part, and that would be a great thing, I think. I said last question, didn't I? 100% accurate. 100%. 100% anonymous. 100% anonymous. All right, we're going to break. Erica. Good job. Great job.
If we can reset. Go back to. Thank you. All right, everyone.
Yep. I was going to start with something else, but we'll go there. Yeah. Yeah. So early this morning, about 5:30, is when the job got called in, I believe, the first time to 9/11. We're treating it at this point as a homicide investigation. We believe, unfortunately, that's the route it's going to be, and it's still relatively new. We don't have a positive ID. We in the last hour, we have some information, including a possible ID. It's still way too preliminary to put that out. But we have an individual. We have some potential wounds to the head. Again, the medical examiner is on the scene. Let's wait until the official autopsy is done to have a cause of death, and we'll go from there. But right now, we have an individual that was found on the street, wrapped in a carpet, and again, as I said, we're treating that in Manhattan North as an active homicide investigation. We believe it's within hours. Let me just, before I open it up to other questions, because we have a couple incidents to update. We had the incident from August 27 in Lincoln Terrace Park in Brooklyn, where I believe it was a 62-year-old Jewish male was struck with a rock. We now have a perpetrator in custody on that. O'Neill Gilbourne, a male black, 26 years of age, a resident of Brooklyn. Mr. Gilbourne, anyone else? We had information from the start in this case that there may have been other victims. Earlier that day, we have not, as of yet, and it's been about 2 weeks, been able to find any other victims that may have had either rocks thrown at them or struck with a rock. So we're asking anyone that may have had contact with them or may have been the victim of a crime to please come forward. As you know, that was, and currently still is, investigated by a hate crime squad. We have the individual in custody now. We'll be in conferral with the Kings County DA's office. It is breaking as we speak, and then we'll have an update, as a little bit of time goes forward, what the ultimate charges are. Some damn good detective work. Second case, we have an individual from the Bronx that also has been significantly in my old precinct, in the 44th precinct. We had the individual at the scene of a fire where I believe an arrest was made for one woman that tried to grab a body camera off an officer, and then a second individual for throwing milk at the officers. That individual has been identified. He is not in custody. And we would love somebody to call into Crime Stoppers tonight with that individual's location. He is Fabian Ellison, 22 years of age. We believe he is known to frequent the Bronx, and here is his picture. So anyone with any information on his whereabouts, please call Crime Stoppers at 577-TIPS, and let's get him off the street as quickly as possible. That's two updates. Obviously, we had the terrible incident. It was a busy night. We had some shooting incidents in Brooklyn yesterday in the 6-7 precinct. We had a double shooting in the 7-7, two individuals, both parolees, both on parole, separate incidents for robbery, shot in a vehicle. And then we had a separate shooting in the 7-7. 3 incidents last night, all in Brooklyn. At this point, it's a little too early to say that there's any connection between them. We do not have that as of yet. We also had a stabbing homicide in South Bronx last night in the 40th precinct, where we had a dispute on the street where an individual was stabbed at least one time in the back, and unfortunately he passed away. Motive on that is still a little preliminary, but we do know that there was some narcotics-related activity at that corner immediately prior to. Whether this individual had anything to do with that is still part of the investigation. We're in the process of reviewing video. We believe that we have what appears to be at this time possible narcotic transactions on that video in extremely close proximity, and I'll leave it at that. Just 1 second, Rocco. In. Yeah, so Dean, just, I know the mic is acting up a little bit. We're talking about the stabbing yesterday evening, early this morning, in the 40th precinct. That was one individual stabbed in the back where unfortunately he passed away. So I'll start with the second one. With the jewelry heist, we have put out 2 photos of individuals. They have not, as of yet, been apprehended. And again, we're asking for anyone's whereabouts, whether they're in the city or fled the city. Anyone with any information on where they may be, to please call Crime Stoppers. We have some leads, but nothing that we're, positively ready to identify a suspect. A combination of, obviously, everyone saw the video. So when you see the video that was recovered, there was some other forensic evidence that was recovered. We run individuals through facial recognition as a matter of course, a combination of all of these things, and we were able to positively identify 2 of the individuals. Yeah, so in the incident in the 32nd precinct, up in Upper Manhattan today, I want to say, Dean, and I'll have to confirm this, I want to believe there was a 911 call or an officer flagged down, but we'll have to tighten that up. So I believe somebody's seen, whether they flagged down a cop or a call, they've seen something suspicious on the street, which is exactly what we want to see. And that led to the discovery of the individual within the carpet. No, that's part of the investigation. Again, we are still pretty fresh into this incident. We do not have a positive ID on the individual yet, but you know, as always, our Manhattan North Homicide, Manhattan North detectives in the 32nd precinct are out there actively working that right now. Yep. Yeah, we had a strange case in the 47th precinct. It's still a little preliminary. We have an individual that, alleging that he was kept and beaten. We're still trying to untangle what exactly transpired there, but that's still active. We have an awful lot of narcotic, and when I say narcotic in this particular case, an awful lot of marijuana nexus to this investigation and the individuals involved, and what the motive was. Clearly, possibility exists that marijuana and money is at the heart of it, but we'll have to dig a little more. Yes, sir. Yeah, I don't have the information on number of calls, but this is what we do. We ask people to call up. I can tell you that in the Detective Bureau, specifically in our task forces and narcotics investigations, we have investigations going on all through New York City and at times, quite frankly, outside New York City. It's how we prioritize. This is the precision policing that we do. When we have an incident like this now, we'll drill down and take a look at, is there anything that we missed? Were we spot on? Is there something that we could have done better? Certainly, I'm not going to get into any relationship with the owner in this particular case, but you know, this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. Are you referring to the 12 people shot in the playground? We are making progress, is what I can say. We are making progress. An arrest on a case like this is obviously, any individual shot in the streets of New York City is important to our detectives, and it's important to me. When you have an incident with multiple people, as particularly in an incident like this, that takes it to another level. We have a task force under Chief Mike Kemper operating very well in Brooklyn North. On this case, there has been a lot of progress throughout the department with multiple units assisting in this. I feel confident that we will come to a good closure on that case. But in terms of specifics, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get into what's going on with the investigation right now. But I do anticipate an arrest. But this is a complicated case, and it may take time.
Back to the kidnapping enforcement. How many people are in custody?
I'll have to get back to you on the current status.
What's the name of that deli?
I'll have to get back to you on the name of the delis. No, I have not seen a picture of it, but my early briefing this morning is there is an individual that possibly wrapped in a bag, which is then within a carpet. I believe that that's how it came over. I believe it is. I believe it is. I'm sorry? A bag.
Last question.
On background for a second, as maybe forgive me this, you said this right. Has been determined if the deceased individual fired any shots that
I'm not going to go into the specifics. Active investigation, as I've said before. Unfortunately, some recurring themes come up. Gangs come up in that investigation. Firearms. It is complicated. A number of shots, as you know, fired. again, I think that when we look back on that, we will come to a good closure in that case, but it's going to take time. I really can't, Mike Kemp has done a phenomenal job. The men and women of Brooklyn detectives, many of our task forces involved, Kings County DAs, federal prosecutors, everyone pitching in to lend a hand. What can everyone do to help? So it's been a full team effort.
Great.
Thank you very much.